I'll never forget the first time I saw him in person. Michael Turner, the billionaire who had built an empire worth hundreds of millions, was sitting in his custom wheelchair, a machine so advanced it seemed more spacecraft than medical device. The sun glinted off the marble floors of his private suite at the San Gabriel Rehabilitation Institute, but no amount of luxury could hide the icy cruelty in his gaze. That day, he made an offer that stunned everyone present, a challenge so outrageous it made the air itself crackle with tension. "Emily," he said, his voice cold but commanding, "I'll give you $1 million if you make me walk again." I froze. A 10-year-old girl, barefoot, trembling, standing in threadbare clothes that revealed more of her struggles than warmth, was suddenly the center of attention in a room full of some of the wealthiest, most powerful men in the state. Her mother, Sophie Carter, clutched a mop with hands shaking so violently the wooden handle beat against the stone floor like a drum, marking her humiliation. She had made the mistake of bringing me to work with her because she couldn't afford childcare. Now we were trapped in the spotlight of Michael's sadistic display. The businessmen around him, Anthony Brooks, David Miller, Robert Hayes, and Jason Clark, erupted in laughter so sharp it cut through the courtyard air. Tears ran down some of their faces from the force of their cruel amusement. They thought they were witnessing a harmless joke, a moment to mock poverty. "This is pure gold," Anthony bellowed, slamming his hand against the side table and nearly toppling his glass of expensive wine. "Michael, you're a genius of cruelty. Do you really think she understands what she's being offered?" David leaned in with that cruel sparkle in his eye. "Maybe she thinks $1 million is like $50. Maybe she'll try to eat the money." And I stood there silent, my small body vibrating with both fear and a strange, cold resolve. I could feel my mother shrink behind me, a shadow barely visible on the edge of the room, her lips trembling, trying to whisper something to calm the storm. But the room was filled with laughter and the harsh echoes of power wielded carelessly. Michael's voice cut through everything. "Come closer, Emily. Don't be shy." I looked at my mother. She nodded almost imperceptibly, tears streaking her face. I took tiny steps, each one leaving faint footprints on the polished marble that was worth more than all the belongings of our family combined. He crouched slightly, his eyes boring into mine. "Can you read?" "Yes, sir," I said softly. "And can you count to 100? "Yes, sir." A few of his colleagues snickered, anticipating some punchline. Then Michael asked, leaning back with a wicked grin, "Do you understand what $1 million really means?" I swallowed hard, my gaze flicking to my mother before I spoke. "It's more money than most people see in a lifetime," I said. The room went quiet for a split second. Then laughter resumed, though now tinged with a strange uncertainty. "Exactly," Michael said, clapping his hands as though I had passed an impossible exam. "It separates people like me from people like you." Jason Clark, trying to maintain a sense of superiority, muttered, "Michael, you're being cruel even by your standards." "No, Jason," Michael replied smoothly, eyes never leaving mine. "I'm teaching a lesson. Some are born to serve, others to be served. Some clean, some get dirtied, knowing someone else will clean up after them." He turned his gaze sharply to my mother. "Do you know how much your labor is worth?" I shook my head. My mother opened her mouth, but no sound came out. Tears fell freely now, cascading down her cheeks. Michael pressed on, savoring every second of psychological torment. "Your mother earns in a month what I spend on dinner with my colleagues. Fascinating, isn't it?" The world had always told me that wealth and power dictated reality. But something in that moment shifted. I could feel a strange heat building inside me, a quiet anger, calm but powerful. I saw my mother's trembling, and I understood that our worth was invisible to them, but I had knowledge they could never mock. I stepped forward, small hands brushing the expensive carbon fiber chair. "Then it's just a joke," I said softly. "If it's impossible, there's no risk. You don't have to pay. That's why you're laughing." The room stilled. Even the mocking laughter faltered. My words pierced through the arrogance of decades of accumulated wealth and entitlement. I had exposed the emptiness behind the display of power. Michael blinked, momentarily caught off guard. "What did you say?" "I said, it's a game to make others feel small. But I know something you don't," I replied, my voice gaining a quiet authority that even I was surprised to feel. And then I revealed it. I know how to make you walk again. The words fell like a bomb. Shock rippled through every corner of the room. The businessmen froze, unable to comprehend what a 10-year-old girl had just claimed. Michael's grin faltered, his eyes narrowing, suspicion mixed with disbelief. "You're lying, Emily," he said. "Do you want me to prove it?" I asked, calm as if the impossible were just another fact of life. For the first time, the game had shifted. The predator in the wheelchair was no longer fully in control. The room, filled with laughter, arrogance, and mockery, now held only a tense, electric silence. I looked at my mother. Her tears reflected both fear and pride. "Mom," I said softly, "can I show them?" She nodded, unable to speak but communicating everything with her eyes. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of expectation, the desperation of those who had laughed and ridiculed us, and the silent judgment of the world that often ignored people like us. My name is Emily Carter. My grandmother, Eleanor Carter, was a healer known in 3 states for treating cases doctors had given up on. She trained with masters of natural medicine for decades, helping hundreds. She taught me everything from the age of 5. Anthony Brooks was the first to reach for his phone. He scrolled frantically, eyes widening in disbelief. "Oh my God!" The scene had shifted from mockery to awe, and the story of Emily Carter, barefoot and small, standing against the world's arrogance, was only just beginning. Emily stood quietly, her small hands hovering over Michael Turner's legs without touching yet, as if she could feel the invisible barriers holding him back. The room, which had been filled with laughter and disbelief only hours ago, now felt charged with anticipation. The 4 businessmen who had mocked her before, Anthony Brooks, David Miller, Robert Hayes, and Jason Clark, stood frozen, their eyes wide, mouths slightly agape. Even the doctors seemed hesitant to breathe, as if disturbing the air might break the fragile possibility that Emily had opened. "Tell me exactly what happened, Michael," Emily said softly, her voice steady. "From the helicopter, the fall, everything the doctors told you. I need to understand everything before I begin." Michael's eyes clouded with old pain, and he began to recount the accident. "It was a routine inspection at one of my factories," he murmured. "The pilot lost control. We fell from nearly 50 feet. I should have died. Most people would have. My spine, it's broken. L5, 3 fractures. The doctor said I was lucky the injury wasn't complete. I have some feeling, but no control, no movement." Emily listened intently, her fingers tracing invisible lines in the air along his spine. "You feel phantom pain sometimes," she murmured. "But it's not just phantom. Your body is trying to communicate. Something is blocked, not lost. I can help open the pathways, but only if you're ready to let it happen." The tension in the room was almost unbearable. Dr. Henry Lawson, standing close by, whispered to a nurse, "She knows spinal anatomy like a neurosurgeon. This is impossible." Emily's hands moved deliberately, pressing gently on pressure points, coaxing the energy she had learned from her grandmother's teachings. "Your body remembers what your mind won't let it do," she explained in a low voice. "It's not just muscle or nerve, it's memory, belief, and forgiveness." Michael flinched, a sudden warmth spreading from his lower back down to his legs. I feel heat," he whispered, shock and awe mingling in his voice. The doctors stepped closer, checking monitors, seeing spikes in activity that should have been impossible. It shouldn't be happening, Doctor," Patricia Adams murmured, disbelief written across her face. Emily didn't look up. "Focus, Michael. Repeat after me. I forgive myself. I release my guilt." His voice cracked as he echoed her words. "I forgive myself. Again. Louder. Believe it. I forgive myself," he shouted, tears streaming down his face. "I forgive myself." Minutes passed like hours. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, his toes twitched. The room held its collective breath. "Did you see that?" David whispered. Anthony was frozen, unable to look away. Robert's hand covered his mouth. Jason's jaw was tight with disbelief. Emily kept working methodically, her small hands guiding energy along his legs. She spoke softly, rhythmically. Each breath, each exhale, released more tension, more fear. Let the body remember what it can do. Believe it's possible. Then, the miracle happened. Michael's right leg lifted slightly, the knee raising at least 15 centimeters from the chair. The room erupted, though carefully, with quiet exclamations and gasps. Michael stared at his leg in shock, tears mixing with disbelief and a strange, joyous hope. I moved my leg, he whispered. Sophie, my mother, rushed forward, holding me to her chest, her tears falling freely. Emily, are you okay? Yes, just tired, I admitted, my voice small but resolute. It takes everything I have. Dr. Adams approached, trembling slightly. What you just did, it will rewrite what we know about recovery. We need to document every moment. I don't care about documentation, I said firmly. I only care about helping him walk again, not proving anything to anyone. If there's a lesson in this, it's that the human body can do more than we allow ourselves to believe. Michael looked at me, awe and gratitude mingling in his eyes. Emily, I can feel my leg. I've felt nothing for 5 years, and now I feel hope. You've given me more than movement. You've given me life. Outside the suite, a crowd had begun to form. Word had spread quickly. Nurses, patients, family members, even the curious came to see the girl who had defied all expectations. Michael's story, combined with Emily's ability, was creating a ripple that no one could ignore. Even the businessmen who had mocked her before were changed. They now formed a barrier around us, ensuring no one would disturb this fragile miracle. We were wrong, Anthony admitted quietly. We thought it was a joke, but she's extraordinary. Emily kept moving, guiding Michael through a series of gentle exercises. His muscles responded slowly, hesitantly, but unmistakably. Each small movement built on the previous, like a symphony awakening after years of silence. The doctors monitored everything, their skepticism challenged by each undeniable response. We have never seen anything like this, Dr. Lawson admitted. It shouldn't be possible. Michael's eyes welled with tears again, a mixture of joy and disbelief. Emily, if this works, I don't know how to thank you. I shook my head, weary but focused. Don't thank me yet. You still have to believe it's possible. Walk with your mind first, then your legs will follow. By the end of the first session, Michael could slightly bear weight on his right leg. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't free yet, but it was enough. Enough to ignite hope, to shatter the arrogance of those who had laughed, and to prove that courage, knowledge, and determination could defy even the most rigid assumptions of power and science. Sophie held me, whispering through tears. Emily, you've changed everything. I nodded, exhausted, aware that the road ahead would be grueling. But for the first time, Michael Turner had a chance to walk, and I knew we were only at the beginning of something far larger than any of us could have imagined. The room was silent, each person absorbing the magnitude of what had just occurred. The billionaire, the businessmen, the skeptical doctors, and my mother all had witnessed a moment that challenged belief itself. The sun was barely rising over the San Gabriel Rehabilitation Institute when Emily Carter stirred her mother awake. Sophie Carter's eyes were wide with worry, but Emily's small hand on her shoulder radiated determination. It's time, she whispered. As they walked through the quiet, almost ghostly hallways of the Institute, the echoes of their footsteps mixed with the memories of the previous day, the laughter, the disbelief, and the impossible hope that had begun to bloom. Michael Turner was waiting in his private suite on the 3rd floor, not with the arrogance of a billionaire who could command the world, but with nervous anticipation, his custom wheelchair parked to the side. The businessmen who had mocked her before were there again, but this time their demeanor had shifted. Anthony Brooks, David Miller, Robert Hayes, and Jason Clark formed an informal guard around Emily and Sophie, their expressions a mixture of respect and cautious awe. They were no longer critics but witnesses to something extraordinary. Emily approached Michael carefully. Her hands hovered over his legs, her focus absolute. Are you ready to try again? She asked softly. Michael nodded, swallowing a lump in his throat. I trust you, he said. Good, Emily replied. We start slowly. Every movement counts. She began guiding him through a series of exercises she had carefully designed, combining her grandmother Eleanor Carter's teachings with the precision she had honed over years of observation. Michael's muscles twitched under her touch, responding in ways doctors had long said were impossible. Dr. Patricia Adams monitored the sensors and readings, eyes wide in disbelief, while Dr. Henry Lawson could barely contain his astonishment. As the minutes passed, Michael's confidence grew. His right leg, which had first lifted only slightly, now bore a fraction of his weight. Sweat glistened on his forehead, but a smile, hesitant, cautious, crept across his face. Emily's small hands moved with unwavering determination, guiding, supporting, and encouraging. "You're doing it, Michael. Believe in your body. Believe in yourself." Tears ran down Michael's cheeks, a mix of disbelief, joy, and something deeper: connection, humanity, and gratitude. "I feel alive again," he whispered. Sophie Carter clutched him from behind, unable to contain her own tears, while Emily remained focused, exhausted but relentless. By midday, Michael took his first unassisted step. It was unsteady, almost imperceptible, but undeniable. The room erupted with quiet awe. Even the businessman, who had spent years mocking others, watched in silent amazement. Anthony Brooks muttered, I never thought I'd see this. Not like this." Michael's laughter broke the tension, a shaky but genuine sound. I walked," he said, his voice trembling. "I actually walked." Emily smiled faintly, her own relief washing over her. "Yes, Michael, you did. But this is just the beginning. You have to keep going." News of Emily's incredible ability spread quickly. Within hours, the Institute was filled with patients, families, and reporters, all curious, skeptical, and desperate. Michael, now able to take several steps with the guidance of a walker, insisted Emily lead sessions under careful observation. Her talent, her dedication, and her courage were drawing attention from people who had never imagined a child could defy the limits of medicine and expectation. The medical team, led by Dr. Patricia Adams, documented every movement, every subtle response, every moment of progress. Emily's approach combined knowledge, empathy, and intuition, a rare combination even in experienced professionals. She treated Michael not just physically, but emotionally, addressing the fear, guilt, and trauma that had held him back for 5 long years. Michael's transformation inspired those around him. The once cynical businessmen began to advocate for Emily's methods, realizing that wealth and power could not substitute for empathy, skill, and determination. "We have been blind," Anthony Brooks admitted quietly. "She's teaching us as much about humanity as she is about healing." Even under the scrutiny of medical boards and legal authorities, Emily insisted on transparency and integrity. She worked only under strict supervision, documenting every session, ensuring that her knowledge could be shared safely and ethically. She refused to exploit her gift for money, fame, or influence, reminding everyone that true healing came from care, not greed. By the end of the week, Michael Turner walked independently across his suite, tears streaming down his face as he took each step with growing confidence. Sophie Carter embraced her daughter tightly, overwhelmed by pride and relief. Emily had not only restored movement to a man who had spent half a decade in a wheelchair, but had also given him hope, humanity, and the ability to reconnect with life. Michael turned to the businessman who had once mocked him and Emily. "You saw what you thought was impossible. You saw courage, determination, and heart. Emily didn't just make me walk, she reminded all of us what it means to truly care." The story did not end with Michael's recovery. Emily began training under the guidance of her mother and the medical team, carefully expanding her ability to help others. Patients with spinal injuries, chronic pain, and paralysis came to the Institute, guided by her skill and compassion. The methods she inherited from her grandmother were now being studied, documented, and shared with a wider audience, bridging the gap between ancient knowledge and modern science. The Institute became a beacon of hope, a place where wealth and status mattered less than skill, empathy, and courage. Michael Turner, once a man defined by his fortune and his cruelty, learned to walk, to forgive himself, and to value the human connection he had long neglected. He pledged to protect Emily, ensuring her safety, health, and ability to continue helping those in need. As Emily prepared for another session, her small hands steady, her gaze unwavering, the magnitude of what had been accomplished settled over the room. The billionaire, the doctors, the initially mocking businessmen, and the families who had gathered all recognized the truth. Miracles could happen when courage, knowledge, and heart intersected. The impact rippled beyond the institute. News outlets, social media, and communities far beyond the city shared the story of a 10-year-old girl who defied expectations, restored movement to a man paralyzed for years, and sparked a revolution in healing. Emily Carter's name became synonymous with hope, courage, and compassion. And in the quiet moments after the crowd had gone, after the sessions were over, Emily sat with her mother, exhausted but resolute. She had learned from her grandmother that true gifts come with responsibility. She would use her knowledge wisely, teach others, and continue to help those in need, changing lives one person at a time.